Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. My name is Nathan Wilson. I'm 52 years old. This is my first attempt to tell my life story. I married Olivia. She was 48. We have an 11-year-old son. A few months ago, we traveled to Barcelona as a family. We were part of a large tour group with 4 families totaling about 20 people. Toward the end of the trip, we all gathered at the Barcelona airport for our return to Boston. It's a 9-hour flight. We counted everyone, but the flight was delayed 5 hours. We all went to the lounge because it was still a long time before we boarded the plane. To our surprise, the lounge was almost empty, just our group. They gathered together to chat and share interesting stories about Spain and its cuisine with smiles on their faces. I went out for a smoke and came back in 20 minutes. As I walked toward my wife, I noticed a slim woman standing near her. My heart suddenly raced, not because of the nicotine, but for other reasons. The woman's clothes. As I approached, my heart beat faster and faster. I could almost hear my heart beating violently in my chest. My mind went blank. Back 18 years. I took her hand and stood in the church. She was right next to me. I said I would, and kissed her. I took her home, and we started a life together. Suddenly, I came back to reality, standing in the lounge. I walked over to my wife, told her I wanted to get some more air, and walked quickly out of the restroom. I didn't look at the woman who was talking to her wife. As I walked out, the memories came flooding back. She's right there. She looks happy. I used to be happy too. I closed my eyes and went back to Washington, D.C. We often walk along the Potomac River. Her name is Emily. She used to be everything to me. I've been in love with her since I first met her in college. We got married and moved in together. Married life started out great. I started working as a bartender and she became a market analyst. My job requires me to work frequent shifts, sometimes even overnight. Throughout all this time, I've tried to keep in touch with her. Her bright eyes used to be the sunshine in my life. Whenever I come home from work, we enjoy our time together or have a good meal together. Emily was a wonderful cook, and her meals were always memorable. One night, while looking into my eyes, she asked, "Will you always love me like this?" I rubbed her back and told her, "Always and forever." The first 2 years of our lives went smoothly, as if we were in paradise. We decided not to have children for a while because we both wanted to be successful in our careers. We want to make a lot of money and settle down. The only problem is that we don't spend enough time with each other. I work late, and Emily's job requires her to travel a lot. The only discord between us came from my mother. She lives alone and often wants to see me. Emily never liked her. I never understood why. My mother was a very gentle and considerate person. I try to keep a balance between them, but it's not easy. That January, my mother fell. I told Emily I was going to take care of her, but she was upset because I just finished a week of night shifts. We had an argument about it, and Emily insisted that I should hire a caregiver for my mother instead of taking care of her myself. I told her that my mother was getting old, and this might be the last time I could be with her. Emily wasn't happy about it, but I went anyway. 3 days later, my mother died in my arms. I'm heartbroken. After burying her, I returned home. Emily started complaining about my mother again, and I was shocked and couldn't understand why she was saying it. She's caused us a lot of trouble. She should have been in a nursing home from the beginning, Emily said pointedly. I was silent, still trying to understand why Emily would disparage someone who had just died. She's gone. She's not coming back. So please shut up, I finally said. Emily was furious, and we didn't speak to each other that week. Later, I took her out to dinner and broke the silence. That night, we had a great time, and it was like everything was back on track. The next week, I started a 2-week night shift rotation. Meanwhile, Emily got a promotion at work and a raise in her salary. When I got home from my night shift, Emily gave me a big hug and a passionate kiss, as she always did. At dinner, I noticed she was a little nervous. "We need to make some changes in our lives," she snapped. "What kind of change do you want?" I asked. "Your long absences do not help me. Some days I long for your company, only to find the bed empty." I don't want to betray you. So either you get a day job or find me a job so I can work with you. I was in a dilemma, but at the same time I was glad she was honest about her feelings. I told her I'd find another job. That was the end of the conversation, and the next morning, I started looking for a day job. I quickly got a day job at a local bar. The pay is a lot lower than it was before, but at least it gets me home every night. However, when I told Emily the news, her reaction was unexpected. Your paycheck went down 25%? Are you kidding me? She said, exasperated. I tried to explain that it was an unavoidable price to pay for a regular day job, but Emily can't seem to accept this reality. Women, no matter how smart they are, sometimes they just don't want to face reality and always want things to go their way. I thought to myself, it's impossible to get a day job and get a raise, unless you change careers completely, I explained. Emily is frustrated because now that I'm bringing home less money, she's had to make some adjustments in her lifestyle. And so, our lives went on, but things slowly began to get worse. Over the next few months, things started to go downhill. We had less and less interaction with each other, and hardly any intimate time in the evenings anymore. Emily's attitude changes from that of a gentle wife to that of a nagging whiner. She seems to be able to nitpick at anything, and there's not a day that goes by that I can go to bed with a clear conscience. It got so bad that one night she actually asked me to stop breathing because my breathing was disturbing her sleep. A few days later, I couldn't find my cell phone, so I picked up Emily's and called myself. I found her cell phone locked. This is a new situation. I've never set a password on my cell phone, and as far as I can remember, she's never set one on her cell phone before. Why this sudden need for a password? Is she hiding something? It was a Thursday night. Emily says that she and her coworkers in the office are going to a dinner party. I had planned to go to bed early, but my inner turmoil made it difficult for me to sleep. At 1 a.m., Emily wasn't back yet. I sent her a few texts and made a few phone calls with no response. Finally, around 2 a.m., I heard the door open. Emily stumbled in, reeking of alcohol. She was wearing a black dress. Her hair was disheveled and her makeup was smudged. I noticed that her lipstick had pretty much fallen off. Are you okay? I asked, reaching for her. I drank a little too much. I danced too much, and now I'm exhausted, she said vaguely. I helped her to the bedroom. She began to take off her sundress, ready to change into the pajamas she normally wore to bed. It was then that I noticed a disturbing detail. She wasn't wearing any underwear, and I could see a distinctive hickey on her inner left thigh. Emily never leaves the house without her underwear. Did she leave the house bare-legged today? Or did she lose her underwear somewhere? That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. As a bartender, I can often detect the secrets and lies of my customers. Now, my instincts tell me that my wife is also hiding something from me. I wanted to know the truth, but I wasn't sure I was really ready to face it. Over the next few weeks, I began to watch Emily's every move. She began to work late, sometimes staying out all night, claiming that she had to catch up with the project. Her cell phone is always locked, and she'll sneak in a text every now and then and hide it as soon as she sees me approaching. I know I need evidence, but I don't want to do something immoral or illegal. In the end, fate gave me an unexpected opportunity. One afternoon, 3 weeks later, I came home early from work to surprise Emily. When I walked in, the house was silent. I thought Emily was still at work and was about to text her when I suddenly heard voices coming from the bedroom. I tiptoed toward the bedroom, my heart racing. The door didn't close all the way, and through the crack, I saw the last thing I expected to see. Emily is kneeling on the bed. Her blonde lover is behind her. The man, I recognized him, was Jack Thompson. My nemesis from college had been lusting after Emily for a long time, even before Emily and I started dating. "That's it, Emily," Jack rasped. Emily responded to his movements with moans of pleasure. I feel like my heart is broken. Weeks of skepticism and uncertainty culminated in a result I never wanted to see. How I wanted to go in there and do something drastic. But I forced myself to calm down, quietly took out my cell phone and recorded a small video as evidence. Then, in silence, I left the house and drove to a nearby park. I sat down on a bench and tried to clear my head. 3 hours later, I came home and pretended nothing had happened. Emily looked a little nervous, but quickly recovered. "You're home early today," she said, giving me a hug. I responded to her embrace by holding back the pain I felt inside. Yeah, the bar wasn't too busy today, so the boss let me off early. For the next few days, I thought about how to handle this. I knew I couldn't just pretend everything was normal. In the end, I decided that confrontation was necessary. A week later on Saturday, I told Emily we needed to talk. We were sitting in the living room, and the atmosphere was tense. "Emily," I said calmly, "I know about you and Jack." Her face instantly turned pale, but she tried to deny it. "What are you talking about? I don't understand." I took out my cell phone and played the video. When Emily saw it, she broke down instantly and started crying. "I can explain," she drawled. "It's not what you think." I sneered. "Not what I thought? What was it like? A business meeting that involves needing to be done in bed?" Emily sucked in a breath as the words stung her. "All your behavior was caught on video," I said calmly, "and I could have sent the video to your office for all our friends and family to see. But I didn't want to do that. I just want to know why." Emily was silent for a moment, then spoke. "Don't you want to know why I'm doing this?" Emily's question hangs in the air, heavy and poignant. I took a deep breath and prepared to listen to her explanation. "You want a lifestyle that I can't offer," Emily began, her voice quivering. "You want to fly high, but you want someone waiting for you at home. When you come back down to earth, you want happiness, but aren't willing to pay for it. Luxury cars, luxury hotels, and gourmet food. Jack gave me what you couldn't." I felt a wave of anger well up in me. "Do you think so?" I asked coldly. "Do you really think Jack can give you permanent happiness?" Emily was silent, looking down at her hands. I continued, "I'm not sure you understand, but Jack is just paying for his fun times. He's married and looking for a cheap source of entertainment. How long will that last? A few months? And then what are you going to do? Find another lover and another?" Emily looked up with tears and confusion in her eyes. "Happiness is just a state of mind, Emily," I whispered. "You can have very little and be happy, or you can have a lot and be sad. Now you're standing here with a divorce decree in your hand and nothing else. Is this the happiness you want?" Emily began to sob, but I had no desire to comfort her. Years of trust collapsed overnight, leaving only bitterness and disappointment. "I'll contact my lawyer," I said. "He'll handle all the legal stuff. You have a week to move out." That's how our marriage came to an end. Over the next few months, we only saw each other a few times in court. Each time I avoided meeting her eyes and simply went through the necessary procedures mechanically. Eventually, the court granted us a divorce. Jack never filed any complaints against me. Even if he wanted to, he'd lose. I did send a video of them cheating to his wife, Catherine. She wasted no time and immediately initiated divorce proceedings, taking half of the house and most of the property. I heard that Jack got a hard time from Catherine's brothers and spent a couple of days in the hospital with a couple of broken ribs. He not only lost his wife, he lost his job. Catherine's father was a man of influence, making sure that Jack never got another job in that industry. As for Emily, I could have ruined her career and her reputation, but I didn't. I just told our mutual friends and family the truth and let her deal with the consequences on her own. I heard she moved to another city, started a new life. I hope she learned something from the experience, but I don't care anymore. Life moves on. I quit my job at the bar and decided to start over. I've always had a penchant for writing, so I've started trying to write short stories and articles. To my surprise, my work is loved by many readers. Slowly, I began to publish in some literary magazines and even got a job writing a column. 2 years later, I met Olivia at a writer's workshop. She's an editor and is interested in my work. We began to see each other more often, discussing literature and life. Slowly, I found myself falling in love again. Olivia is nothing like Emily. She is gentle, considerate, and very understanding of my work. Our relationship grew steadily, and after a year, we decided to get married. This time, I value our relationship even more and try to maintain communication and understanding. Now, we've been married for 7 years and have a lovely son. I became a successful writer, and Olivia continued her work as an editor. We don't live in luxury, but we're happy. We share common interests, support each other's endeavors, And most importantly, we trust each other. Just a few months ago, we decided to take our son on a trip to Barcelona. We joined a large tour group of about 20 people, 4 families in all. Toward the end of the trip, we all gathered at the Barcelona airport for our return to Boston. Just then, I saw a familiar figure. That's Emily. She was also in the tour group, standing with a man who looked like her new partner. Our eyes met in the air for a brief moment. She looks older, but she seems to be doing well. I felt Olivia hold my hand. Is everything okay? She asked with concern. I smiled and kissed her gently. It's okay. Everything's fine. It was at that moment that I realized that life sometimes has strange ways of teaching us lessons. I used to think that Emily's betrayal was the worst thing that had ever happened in my life. But in hindsight, that experience grew on me and taught me how to truly value a relationship. We boarded the plane and prepared to return to our homes. During the 9-hour flight, I began to think about my life's journey. I think of the pain of the past, the happiness of the present, and the hope of the future. I look at my sleeping Olivia and my son, and my heart is filled with gratitude. Life doesn't always go according to our plans, but it always gives us the opportunity to grow and start over. I had lost everything, but in the end I gained more. Now, I finally realize that true happiness does not lie in how much we have, but in cherishing what we have. The plane landed slowly at the Boston airport, marking the end of our journey, but also the beginning of a new one. We packed our bags and got ready to go home. As we walked out of the airport, I took a deep breath of fresh air and felt at home. "Welcome home," I said to Olivia and my son, my heart filled with anticipation and joy. We got into a cab and headed for our cozy home. In the car, I started thinking about my new book. It will be a story of loss and regain, betrayal and forgiveness, and ultimately finding true love. I knew that my experience would be the inspiration for this story. When we arrived home, I helped carry the bags into the house, then sat down in the den and began to write the first sentence. Sometimes life gives you unexpected twists and turns, but it's those twists and turns that mold us and make us better people. For a few days after I got home, I immersed myself in writing. My new book is beginning to take shape, filled with insights and experiences I've had over the years. Olivia has been a great support, not only taking care of my family, but also taking the time to provide valuable input on my drafts. One night, while I was in my study writing, Olivia knocked softly on the door. "Nathan, do you have time to talk?" she asked gently. I put down my pen and turned to face her. "Of course, dear. What's wrong?" Olivia sat in the chair across from me and took a deep breath. "You know, I saw the look on your face at the airport when you met Emily. I wondered, are you okay?" I gazed into Olivia's eyes and saw concern and a hint of unease in them. I reached out and took her hand. "I'm fine, really," I said sincerely. Seeing Emily did remind me of the past, but not in the way you might think. What I felt was relief and gratitude. Grateful? Olivia was a little confused. I nodded, smiled, and explained, "Yes, thankfully. Without that painful experience, I might never have grown up and met you." Seeing Emily made me realize how precious what I have now is. Olivia's eyes glistened with tears as she held my hand tightly. "I'm grateful to have met you too, Nathan, but sometimes I worry. I worry that I can't give you everything you want." I stand up and pull Olivia into my arms. "You gave me everything I needed, Olivia. You gave me love, a home, a son. You've supported my writing and understood my dreams. What more could I ask for?" We embraced each other and enjoyed the cozy moment. Suddenly, we heard our son's voice from the doorway. "Daddy, Mommy, what are you doing?" We turned to see little Tommy standing in the doorway, rubbing his sleepy eyes. We smiled at each other and walked towards him together. "It's nothing, little man," I said, picking him up. "We were just talking about how much Daddy loves Mommy and you." Tommy giggled. "I love you guys too." At that very moment, I felt a happiness and fulfillment that I had never felt before. That's what I've been looking for, a family full of love and understanding. For the next few months, I focused on finishing my new book. Each chapter is a story of loss, growth, and rebirth that I have put my heart and soul into. As I wrote the last chapter, I found myself in tears, not out of sadness, but out of relief and gratitude. Finally, on a sunny spring day, I finished the last sentence. I leaned back in my chair and let out a deep breath. Just then, Olivia pushed her way in, a cup of coffee in hand. "Finished?" she asked, a gentle smile on her face. I nodded, feeling both excited and exhausted. "Yes, it's finally done." Olivia came over and kissed me softly. "I'm so proud of you, Nathan. I can't wait to read it." A few weeks later, my new book, The Road to Rebirth, was published. To my surprise, the book quickly became a bestseller. Readers were struck by the book's genuine emotion and deep life insights. I have received countless letters from readers who have shared their own stories and told me how the book has given them courage and hope. At a book signing, I met a young reader. She was holding my book with tears in her eyes. "Mr. Wilson," she whispered, "your book changed my life. I used to think I'd never recover from my betrayal, but your story has given me strength. Thank you." I took her hand in mine and felt a rush of warmth through my body. "Thank you for sharing. Remember, everyone has the ability to start over. The pain will pass, but the lessons it leaves behind will make us stronger." That night, when I got home, I saw Olivia and Tommy playing with a puzzle in the living room. I stood in the doorway, quietly watching the cozy scene. Olivia looks up and sees me, a huge smile spreading across her face. "Welcome home, honey. How was your day?" I walked over, sat down on the couch, and took them both in my arms. "It's great, but the best part is being here, right now with you guys." Tommy looked up and asked curiously, "Daddy, why do you look so happy?" I gently rubbed his hair and said, "Because I finally realized what is most important in life. It's not success, it's not money, it's love and family. You guys are everything to me." That night, as I lay in bed, I thought back on my life's journey, from the first happiness, to the bitter betrayal, to the present fulfillment. I realized that life is like a book, full of ups and downs. But what matters most is not what we experience, but how we respond to those experiences and what we learn from them. I turned and looked at the sleeping Olivia, my heart filled with gratitude. I kissed her forehead gently, then closed my eyes. In my sleep, I seemed to be back at the Barcelona airport. I saw Emily, but this time, I didn't feel any pain or resentment. Instead, I smiled at her and turned toward Olivia and Tommy. I know that I have truly let go of the past, embraced the present, and look forward to the future. The next morning, I woke up feeling refreshed. I turned on my computer and started working on my next book. This time, I'm going to write a story of forgiveness, hope, and renewal, because I know that this is the most valuable thing that my life has taught me. As the sunlight pours in through the window, I start typing. Sometimes life gives you unexpected surprises, but it's these surprises that make us learn to cherish, learn to grow, and ultimately become a better version of ourselves. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.